Hello there, I'm Dejan, and welcome to a new video. So the State of Play just ended, and I watched it live. Unfortunately, I could not stream it because my internet is just quite dog shit. I'm still having problem with streaming live stuff constantly, unfortunately, and I don't think this problem is gonna solve anytime soon. I'm gonna try my best to solve it in the next month. But anyway, I just wanted to spend a couple of minutes to talk about what we got from this State of Play, and actually what kind of message we can get from the gaming industry. First of all, the State of Play, as usual, is a very concentrated hour of trailer when PlayStation says, hey, this is the new stuff that we have on PlayStation, but actually is on every console apart for 2 games, and one of those is coming out in 2026. Let's start with the biggest name here, which is Monster Hunter, just because it's gonna release very soon. Monster Hunter Wilds shows one thing that most of the games and most of the gaming industry stopped to do properly, which is care for their consumers. You know, Monster Hunter is a franchise that everyone respects, everyone loves, especially if you are into the Monster Hunter fans. The Monster Hunter fans are very hardcore fans that will defend the game with all themselves. I recently started to play Monster Hunter with Monster Hunter World, so it's quite 5 years now, but I'm a more modern Monster Hunter fan, but I can see why. You can see how much love there is behind this franchise, and in this little trailer that is shown, you see that already. Because you see, you have a classic trailer, nothing new is shown and everything apart the new monsters, and they tell you, hey, this is the first update you're gonna get into the game, you get a new monster. And hey, wait, in summer, there is gonna be a new monster as well, but we don't know yet which one it's going to be. You know already, I mean, that's great, it's a game that I pay a lot of money for, yes, but you see how it's gonna be supported with more, basically, DLCs, more bosses, which is basically a boss fight game, so that's great, that's a great news, and that's basically something that I think is lacking at the moment into the gaming industry. It's very fresh, very refreshing, very nice to see, and with Monster Hunters becoming always bigger and a bit less of a niche with every modern release they do it since World, I really hope that this brings kind of open eyes to other gaming company, I don't wanna quote Bandai here, just to, you know, how you could do things in a different way. The second game I would like to focus a bit more, but not too much, is Borderlands 4. Now, I'm a big fan of the saga, especially of the second chapter, and the third chapter I found it a bit, lackluster comparing to the second one. Yes, the boss fights were an improvement, the vaults and everything, like the feeling of getting a lot of prizes for more present boss fights was nice, but the maps were a bit less engaging in my opinion, and the story definitely was less engaging with the twins, so being a way less interesting villain than what Handsome Jack was. But it looks like with Borderlands 4 they want to take the step back and go to push back in what the Borderlands vibe was, and we saw this in the previous trailer, which I think it was the Game Awards. What they shown here is just an action-packed trailer, but you just see Borderlands stuff and you get a glimpse of what are the powers, but most important is that there is going to be a State of Play from PlayStation exclusively for Borderlands 4 in this spring, which is great, and we have a release date, which is gonna be this September. So again, very nice. People is already saying, so if Borderlands release in September, GTA 6 is delayed. I mean, honestly, GTA 6 being delayed it would not be even that much of a surprise, because the game is always like a new GTA is always like a new gaming era starting, and no one will ever say anything if they delay GTA 6. No one will ever say anything, whatever they say to GTA, as long as they launch it. Now, 2 games I would like to focus briefly are Onimusha, The Way of the Sword, and Tides of Annihilation. Now, why I want to focus on this? Because, you know, I remember when PS3 was at its peak. The PS3 era was at its peak. And there was one big complaint from people that all the games didn't have any more difficulties. And you basically were playing either just a 3D action adventure game where basically you didn't need to know how to play because everyone was using the, what's it called, freeform combat, that Batman Arkham combat in the Assassin's Creed 2 onwards combat, where basically after 5 minutes that you understand the system, you're unbeatable. After that, the PS4 era and the current era, where basically a lot of people complains where almost all the games are just simply open world now, and there is all the game, they must be this kind of open world sandbox experience where you can do everything. Now this game, these two games, looks like they're taking a step back, and they're giving us a real action game, which for me is like, even if it's not a breeze of fresh air, because it's actually going very back in the days, for me it is a breeze of fresh airs, because unfortunately there are not as many games anymore that they do this. We had Final Fantasy 16, I haven't played Black Myth Wukong, but I think Wukong does this as well. It's not just a complete open world. The Souls-like used to do this in an RPG fashion, but Elden Ring changed the tendency, putting it an open world. So I really hope that these games, they're gonna develop in a nice levels that are very nice and closed environment, because this is where these kind of games thrive, because what you want to focus on is the combat system and nothing else. Especially to spend a couple of extra words on Onimusha, the character animation, the facial expressions, and how much personality came out from Miyamoto Musashi, it was incredible. It was beautiful to watch, and yeah, I'm just excited for Onimusha, and I can only be excited. Plus they announced the Onimusha 2 remaster that is gonna come soon. They didn't call it a remaster, but it's basically, they said it's a texture HD remaster and all that stuff. So yeah, other good news for action player guys. I'm not gonna talk much about the Lies of P DLC, just because I never played Lies of P yet. But what I will say is that I can see, or at least the impression that I'm getting is that you can see the returning of investment from the main game, the success of the main game, is coming in fruition from this trailer. Because this trailer, it looked a way richer game as environments, as enemy differentiation, already than what was the trailer of the base game. So it looks like these guys are cooking, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna like the game, because I generally like Souls-likes, unless they're unplayable like Mortal Shells, because like, I'm sorry, Mortal Shells is not fun to control. It is the most important part in a Souls-like, is control feedback. But it looks like everyone is saying that the controls in Lies of P are between the best in Souls-like genre. So I'm really curious to play the game. I'm probably gonna wait until I get the new computer so will get it. I will try full blast when they release the DLC. But it looks like you can see that these guys invested a lot thanks to the success of the main game. So very good to see. But what I will close with is what is probably my favorite saga in gaming history, which is not Tekken, and is Metal Gear Solid. Now, we got this trailer, Metal Gear Solid Delta, we got the release date. It looks insane. I know this trailer was leaked. I watched it already when it was leaked, because it popped in my YouTube. Obviously my algorithm knows me too well, but guys, it just looks insane. And they've been very smart with their trailer, because they didn't just use random scenes, they used core scenes. Very core scene, very little flashes that if you see, your brain keeps on watching them. You just need to see a couple of frames, your brain keeps on watching. You don't need to see the whole scene, because you know it, because you played it 10, 20 times. And I played this game 10 and 20 times, and trust me, if you never played Metal Gear Solid, if you never played Metal Gear Solid 3, you are in for a treat. If it plays like it looks, it feels like it, feeling wise, it is what we all expect. You are in for one of the greatest experience of your gaming career. Greatest. Apart from that, I have to say, PlayStation, the PlayStation State of Play was good. I think he ended up on the wrong note though. They should have saved something like the Metal Gear trailer, even if it was leaked as the last one, because like it is the biggest name in this list that I have in front of me. But instead they decided to close, understandably until a certain point, with what is a first party exclusive game, which is Saros. Now Saros didn't have any gameplay trailer. You just say, so the main character that had a kind of Deus Ex vibe with this kind of futuristic suit, which was on a beach, kind of the beach from Death Stranding, but with way warmer colors, and then there was this monster emerging from the sea. Now it doesn't have a big impact as a trailer itself, because it's just a cutscene that is nothing to do with gameplay, but it's made by the guys that made the Returnals. It's based on Returnals as gameplay, and until now is the game that uses the DualSense features the best. The double shooting mode directly on your trigger on light press and heavy press, and how it feels, that's something very clever, very well implemented, and probably the main reason why Returnal will always be mainly a PlayStation game. And it was a very fun game to play, very intriguing to get the stories, to understand what's going on. Plus, roguelike are always fun to play, and are always games very good to have in your library, because you don't have to play them every day. You don't feel like, oh, I have to keep on playing, I have to finish the story, because you can just forget about them for a month and go back, and it's like, yeah, I just put in another coin into my arcade machine, and it's usually very good. So the game is intriguing mainly because of the background that the creator had, rather than for the trailer itself. And I think the Sony, instead of concluding his presentation on a game like this, should have used something better, like Metal Gear. But overall, we can be happy. It looks like 2025 is going to be a great year for gaming. Looks like 2026 is starting to pack in something. We'll see what's going to pack. Unfortunately, guys, obviously, no Bloodborne. But apart from that, thank you so much for stopping by, and I'll see you next time. If you want to see more stuff like this, please consider subscribing. I really much appreciate, obviously, and it helps really much. Let me know down below which one is the game that intrigues you the most, and which is the game that you're waiting for the most. Mine is obviously Metal Gear Solid. But apart from that, ciao!